Daddy, why is she sleeping here? The small voice cut through the quiet of the parking garage. 7-year-old Emma tugged at her father's hand, her wide eyes fixed on the slumped figure lying near the cold concrete wall. Jonathan Hale followed her gaze. A young woman, no older than her mid-20s, was curled up against her worn backpack, shivering despite the layers of thin sweaters. Her face, pale under the harsh fluorescent lights, was hidden behind strands of unkempt brown hair. She wasn't sleeping, not really. Her breathing was shallow, uneven, the kind that came from exhaustion more than rest. Jonathan felt a knot tighten in his chest. His instinct was to move Emma along, to distract her with the promise of hot cocoa at home. But her hand gripped his tightly, waiting for an answer. "She's, tired, sweetheart," he said carefully, his voice low. "Maybe she doesn't have anywhere else to go." Emma tilted her head, still staring. "Can't we help her?" Jonathan swallowed. He was a man who ran companies, signed million-dollar deals without blinking. But this simple, innocent question unraveled him. The garage echoed with the sound of his polished shoes as he walked closer, Emma's small steps following. He crouched down a few feet away from the woman. "Miss?" His voice was gentle, cautious. "Are you all right?" She stirred, startled, blinking up at him with eyes that held both defiance and shame. "I'm fine," she whispered, though her cracked lips and trembling fingers betrayed the lie. She tried to sit up straighter, as if dignity alone could shield her. Jonathan noticed the bruises on her hands, the faded fabric of her coat, and the way she clutched her bag as if it were the last anchor she had. "Please," she added, her voice hoarse, "just don't call anyone. I'll be gone soon." Emma's small voice broke the silence again. "Daddy, she's cold." The woman's eyes flicked to the child, softening, if only for a second. She forced a smile. "I'll be okay, little one." Jonathan exhaled slowly. He knew the look in her eyes, pride locked in battle with desperation. He had seen it years ago when his own wife fell sick, when he was forced to ask strangers for help he never thought he'd need. "Look," he said quietly, "I'm not here to cause trouble, but it's freezing tonight. You can't stay here." She shook her head. "I don't have anywhere else." And that was the moment, the pause that changed everything. Jonathan could have walked away. He could have left her to the night and explained it to Emma later. But her daughter's grip on his hand tightened, her eyes pleading with him in a way no boardroom ever could. 20 minutes later, the woman sat stiffly in the back seat of Jonathan's sleek black Mercedes, her bag clutched to her chest. Emma, in her booster seat, chattered softly about her favorite bedtime story, trying to make their guest feel less like an intruder. The woman said little. Her eyes darted between the car's leather interior and the blur of city lights outside, as though she had stumbled into the wrong life. Jonathan finally broke the silence. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then murmured, "Claire." "Claire," he repeated. "I'm Jonathan. This is Emma." Emma beamed. "Hi, Claire. Daddy makes the best hot chocolate in the world, you'll see." For the first time, a flicker of a real smile touched Claire's lips. The Hale townhouse was warm, filled with the faint scent of cedar from the fireplace. Claire stood just inside the doorway, uncertain, her shoes leaving faint, damp marks on the polished floor. "You're safe here," Jonathan assured her, setting down his keys. "Come on, the kitchen's this way." She followed, awkward, her every movement hesitant as though afraid of breaking something expensive. Within minutes, Emma had scrambled into her pajamas and was perched at the counter, watching as her father whisked cocoa into steaming milk. He placed a mug in front of Claire. She wrapped her hands around it, inhaling the warmth as though it might seep into her bones. "Thank you," she whispered. Jonathan nodded but didn't push her for more. He knew trust wasn't built in a night. Later, when Emma was tucked into bed, Jonathan found Claire still sitting at the kitchen table, staring into her empty mug. "You don't owe me explanations," he said softly, "but if you'd like to talk." Her shoulders trembled. For a long time, silence stretched between them. Then quietly, words spilled out. She'd been working 2 jobs after her mother died, trying to cover rent and medical bills left behind. One job disappeared when the restaurant closed. The other wasn't enough. She'd been evicted 3 weeks ago. Nights were spent in shelters when space allowed, on benches when it didn't. She hadn't eaten properly in days. As she spoke, her voice cracked under the weight of her own admission. "I'm not lazy," she said desperately, as if needing him to believe. "I tried. I swear I tried." Jonathan's throat tightened. "I believe you," he said simply, and those 3 words unraveled something in her. Tears slipped down her cheeks, silent but unstoppable. Over the next days, Claire became an unspoken part of their household. She insisted on helping, washing dishes, folding laundry, even reading to Emma at night. Emma adored her instantly, her laughter brighter whenever Claire was near. Jonathan, though cautious, found himself watching the way Claire's presence softened the air in their home. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was slowly coming back to life. Still, Claire carried her pride like armor. "I can't stay here forever," she told him one evening as they cleaned the kitchen together. "You've done more than enough." Jonathan met her eyes. "You need stability first. A roof, food, time to breathe. Then you can decide what's next." Her lip trembled, but she nodded. A week later, Jonathan surprised her with a folder. Inside was paperwork, an offer for a position at one of his companies in the design department. Claire blinked at it in disbelief. "I can't accept this," she said, shaking her head. "You're just being kind." "I don't deserve," he interrupted gently. "You deserve a chance. I've seen your sketches in that notebook you keep. You're talented. You just need someone to believe in you." Her hand trembled as she touched the folder, tears brimming again. Months passed. Claire worked hard, proving herself day by day. She rented her own small apartment nearby, but still visited often, Emma always running into her arms. And Jonathan, once a man defined by wealth and loss, found himself smiling in ways he hadn't since his wife's passing. Claire had brought something back into their home: warmth, laughter, the reminder that kindness could change lives. One crisp evening, as they walked home from Emma's school play, Emma slipped her hand into Claire's instead of Jonathan's. "Daddy," she said innocently, looking up at him with her big brown eyes, "can Claire stay with us forever?" Claire froze, caught between embarrassment and hope. Jonathan looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who had once been a stranger on a cold garage floor, now woven into their lives. He smiled softly. "I think," he said, his gaze steady on hers, "she already has."